This channel is made possible by viewers like you. My viewers, subscribers, and patrons greatly help to keep this channel going. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for all of you. Please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any uploads. And if you'd like to go the extra mile, please check out my Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you'll get access to what I'm working on, previews of upcoming content, and even early videos, along with other tier options for those that are interested. Thank you, and now on to the video. Sometimes all you need is really good gameplay. I do still appreciate when a title can slowly build up their narrative, or situations where they introduce gameplay mechanics that continue to build upon each other. Then there are titles where it provides arcadey action with a load of fun right out of the gate. Sure, there might be some upgrades and things to work on, but most of the fun, the hook, really comes from the gameplay, and even bettering your skill within it. And maybe it comes from a title that is simple, to the point, and most of all, just enjoyable. You really see this in the indie market, where a game can be boiled down to their basics, and just get a very satisfying experience out of it. Habroxia is one such title. It has been one that I've wanted to try for a while, and after being able to dig into it and beat it, I had a blast with it. Join me as we take a look back at Habroxia. Barry Johnson, an aspiring game developer, had a mission: release his first game by his 30th birthday. He always wanted to be a game developer, but at the same time, would not have imagined that it would end up being a career he dreamed of. Like with many of us, as we ponder on ideas we want to explore, for a long time, Barry wondered if he could actually do it, be a game developer. This resulted in him sinking a lot of time into learning and literally ingesting anything game development related to improve on his skills and make this dream come true. Even during what little spare time he had, he was still learning and growing. He had a love for Mario Maker, which eventually led to him creating a platformer for his first title. Through a PlayStation blog post, he came across the tool Game Maker and set his sights on the PS4 for his game. This eventually led to his first title, Perils of Baking. This was Barry's way to pay tribute to some of the 2D greats. With one game under his belt, he set his sights on another genre that he was passionate about: space shooters. Barry had some very interesting ideas to play around with his new shoot 'em up. For one, he was a fan of the genre and enjoyed playing them, but he never considered himself to be the best at them. As he puts it, he would usually see the game over screen a lot. With this in mind, he wanted to have a game that had the right amount of challenge, while also providing an opportunity for less skilled players to tap into upgrades that could be grinded out through playing. This will allow for those skilled players to be tested right from the get-go and see how far they can make it, while those that may not have a high skill level but still really enjoy playing these games could jump right in, as this new space shooter would have a credit system that would allow the player to select and obtain upgrades through the credits grabbed from enemies and bosses. Barry also wanted to explore the use of alternative firing methods. For example, the player could change the speed of their attack and even shoot out left and right of their ship. Lastly, the game would feature levels where the gameplay would start horizontally and then switch to a vertical stage, thus creating this cool dynamic effect and adding an element of surprise to the gameplay. These were the three pillars that Barry used to build this new game from, and this would be called Habroxia. Barry collaborated on his projects with a few artists. In the case of Habroxia, the first artist he worked with only spoke French, and in an interview, Barry even discussed he relied on Google Translate to work with this artist for the project. This resulted in having another artist join the team, and the collaboration continued. Through Habroxia, Barry's team began to grow, with him working with a few artists, along with Colin Moriarty from Last Stand Media as his writer. As of today, he has released a few games, and he and his team do not seem to be stopping at any point. One big takeaway that I see from this is that Barry Johnson's story with making his games, and especially Habroxia, is that if you have passion about something, you should go and explore it. See where that takes you. Don't just ponder on it, but make it a part of you and really see if this is something you want to do. In Barry's case, this is an inspiring tale of someone who loved the video game medium and wanted to contribute to it, and had a voice that he wanted to share. He was able to collaborate with other talented people to create passionate, new, older style games. It was a way to create something new that would fit perfectly within his and many of our childhoods. His first title was proof that he could do it. Habroxia was further proof that he had a lot more fun experiences to share with the world. In September 2019, Habroxia was released to the world. Habroxia is an arcade-like shoot-'em-up that in many ways doesn't really try to do anything new, but rather just manages to do everything right and do it really well. You have an enjoyable campaign with plenty of things to shoot at, along with a light upgrade system, enjoyable soundtrack, and retro design that brings me back to my childhood. In my very early gaming days, this is the type of stuff that I was playing. Stuff like this, when done very well, feels enjoyably nostalgic, while also nailing what made these games fun. The gameplay is the most important element. There's no fluff, storytelling, characters, or anything like that. It's your ship and all the enemies coming at you, and it's a load of fun. Habroxia is a shoot-'em-up where most of the action is presented from a horizontal point of view. Well, until it flips on you, but we'll get more into that soon. The campaign features 15 levels where you need to shoot and dodge your way through it, and you usually need to fight a boss at the end of the level too. Again, simple design done well here. You have your main gun for your primary way to attack. The interesting thing is that you can change the spread of your attack. If you hit on the fire button, you will do a more direct and narrow blast. Hold down the two triggers and you do a wider spread, and you can even shoot out the left and right of your ship, along with shooting out of both at the same time. I found myself switching between the narrow and wider spread depending on the enemies and their formation. The control of the direction and spread of your blast is a pretty cool choice, and option that you have at your disposal. But this isn't your only means for attacking. As you destroy enemies, they will drop various pickups, from buffs to your ship for that level, along with special moves that will greatly aid you. The buffs include moving faster, more damage, and missiles. The specials get a bit more interesting with a shield, a line laser, screen clearing bomb, along with one that just supercharges your main attack. You have a boost, which is great for picking up items quickly, or even using it for getting out of the way. The campaign levels are broken up into 3 types. The destroy everything, make it to the end, and defeat the boss type levels. Then you have levels where you need to rescue the astronauts. There's no bosses for these levels, but they do change up the action a bunch, since you are now looking for targets to grab rather than kill. By default, I would just have my fire button going, but in the case of these levels, it could mean accidentally killing an astronaut, meaning you won't earn as many credits as you could at the end of the stage, so you need to be careful during the astronaut levels. Then you have the dedicated big boss stages. These are longer and generally more challenging fights. The bosses are pretty fun and a great way to break up the action and really punctuate the end of a stage. Then as you complete the campaign, you will earn additional modes. Invasion is a survival endurance type mode, which is all vertical. Rescue is all focused on saving astronauts, and the mode ends whenever you die or kill an astronaut. Shield Maiden provides you with weak guns, very little health, and here you need to play the game very differently. It has you less thinking about attacking and defending everybody coming at you, but rather you're just trying to grab more shields to survive. And lastly, newer versions of the game have a boss rush mode too. So for content, you have plenty to enjoy when it comes to Habroxia. I really enjoyed Habroxia, plus there's some cool things that I appreciated about it. One being that there are a few stages where the level will change from being horizontal to a vertical engagement. Sometimes it will even switch back as well. These are fun and add this fun shift to the level. The first time it happened, I thought it was a nice surprise. The game also does a good job of presenting the action well to the player. The sounds, explosions, and general presentation are all really good, and ups the action quality even more. Habroxia is mainly a title that lives and dies by its gameplay. Again, simple stuff done very well here. So much so that for being a short title, I wanted to play it again and again. The icing on the cake is that there is an upgrade system at play here too. As you complete stages or find them randomly from destroyed rocks and enemies, you'll earn credits. These can be used to provide you with permanent upgrades for more health, better spread, and shot damage, to even having your choice of a starting special. You eventually get all of these upgrades, but the choice is appreciated where you can focus on them first. Even with the large amount of enjoyment with this title, I did have a few flaws. The biggest one being was with the difficulty spike for level 10. I spent most of my time with the PS4 version, and when I hit level 10, it felt like I hit a wall. I felt like I was forced to go back and earn more upgrades to actually get through this fight. It's the only boss fight where no pickups are provided. I honestly think this fight is harder than the final one. The gameplay on screen here is from when I got plenty more upgrades to finally beat it. My issue with this is that the difficulty spike hurt the pacing of the game that they had built up to this point. It felt like it needed to be playtested more. This was an example of a fight feeling artificially difficult rather than challenging. I also wanted to make note that while it was cool I could shoot out of the left and right side of my ship, I never actually used this much in the game. I do think more situations that called for this more would have been cool to see. Something else I want to touch on is that I spent most of my time with the PS4 version, but I also did play a bit of the PS5 version as well. I really like the added intro cutscene. It's nice and it adds some more context to the game. Overall, it's the same experience, but it features different tweaks and little things that if you played them back to back with the original PS4 version, you'd probably notice. For example, the shield works differently and individual specials can be leveled up. This is kinda cool that there is more to unlock with your credits, but I felt like it was something that was taken away, and now worse with the need to upgrade it in the PS5 version, where it worked better in the PS4 version. It also seems you cannot fire individually out the left or right. You can only do it at the same time now. There are other tweaks as well, but I think overall, while the PS5 version is still very fun, I prefer the original PS4 version of it. Before we move to the conclusion, I want to mention the soundtrack. Habroxia nails the sounds and music from the past. Here are a few tracks from the game. I am always amazed when it comes to indie games. You see so much creativity here, whether it is from seeing new combinations of styles or new takes on things, or even just getting new versions of a classic design. It seems like whatever the AAA market is not interested in making, but there is a market for it, the indie side of things helps to pick that up and create something a player base wants. Sometimes the group is big and largely ignored, other times the player base is niche and indies still find a way to provide those experiences to those players looking for them. Well, I've been impressed by many titles on this side of things, and where a AAA space can definitely put me in a position where I wish we had more stuff like this. The indie area gives me that faith that I am happy that at least from this perspective from gaming now, we're gonna get something good. Indies are special and they just continue to wow me. Even more so when you see a game developed by one guy or just a few people. Habroxia really was one such game. Yes, the game is modeled after an old school retro shoot 'em up with some progression elements, but the execution here is of high quality. The game is fun, very fun even, as it's something that I continually want to come back to. Much of that comes to the core gameplay loop being addictive, mainly from the immediate being so much fun with shooting stuff, along with getting the icing on the cake with earning those upgrades. Sometimes all you need is some solid gameplay. Habroxia is a title I would recommend as a great weekend rental. You can get in, enjoy it, beat it, play the additional modes, and then feel completely satisfied. And since Habroxia really sets the hooks into you, you'll probably end up returning to this even after the weekend. I highly recommend this one. Have you played Habroxia? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know all of this in the comments down below. If you're interested in being notified of new videos, please hit the subscribe button and bell. And if you would like to support the channel and get early access to content, please check out my Patreon. All of the links will be at the end of this video and within the description. And thank you very much for watching.